What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have an awesome video for everyone today. We're going to be going over some of the best plays to watch out for right now in the market and some of the most important news that happened today. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But Tom, what happened in the market today? I know that the QQQ and just a lot of stocks in general finished slightly up, but we didn't have the best jobs report come out.
Yeah, the weekly jobless claims came in at 419,000 for the week of July 17, and that was actually way over the 350,000 estimate. It shows that there's a lot of people out of work right now, but it ended up helping the tech sector go up. We can see the QQQ really flying up today, especially around close. It really started to explode up above that 364 resistance, and we ended up seeing just great movement out of the tech sector overall. We saw Apple and Microsoft have pretty good days today. Apple was up 1%, but was really up early in the morning. Microsoft had a great day running to the upside also, but we did see some stocks continue down, like Tesla, for example, which is continuing to just go flat to red. But overall, there was a lot of stocks in the market today that were green, and even Zoom started to pop back up.
For sure. And while you brought up red stocks, let's take a look at DD, the recent IPO. So I know that they had some pretty bad news come out today. And I know that China stocks have definitely been struggling over the past month or so. I know DD got smacked. They're down around 11%. But the good news is that not all China stocks fell. Stocks like BABA were up today, which is good to see. They were up around 1.5%. And JD was also up around 1%. But what's going on with DD?
Yeah, DD, like you said, had a terrible day, down 11%, moving down to these all-time lows. And man, it is just crazy for them that Beijing actually came out and said that they're considering harsh penalties to anywhere from a massive fine now all the way up to a forced delisting after they IPO'd last month. So that's obviously the worst news possible almost for investors if they had to delist. And man, it's just not good, not a good thing to hear for them in the shorter term. And that's obviously why they broke that $11 support, ended up falling almost all the way down to $10 today. But that's pretty crazy that China might force a delisting on DD, and definitely be careful with it, and be careful with BABA and the others in the short term, just in case it does affect them. But like you said, it was awesome to see how BABA was holding their ground today and even went up 1.4%, even with this news coming out, because over the past few weeks, BABA and these other stocks have kind of been getting dragged down with that DD news. So it's nice to see that it's just affecting DD right now.
For sure. So certain stocks like BABA and Baidu, and you could even say JD, are at some pretty awesome levels, some pretty awesome support levels, and a lot of them are really good companies. It's just when the US and China have high tensions, it just really affects these stocks. And like we're seeing with DD, when like bad news comes out of China, it can really hurt these stocks. So, I think like BABA and Baidu are in some pretty good like buying points right now. It's just you have that pretty big China risk there. So definitely keep them on your radar. I think that they're at pretty good levels. But Tom, while the market is kind of like, it's uptrending, but there isn't like a ton of upwards momentum, I see stocks like AMD, Facebook, and Microsoft exploding. What's going on there?
Yeah, we actually have a lot of earnings coming up, even to end this week. We have some pretty good ones. We have Coca-Cola, we have Snap, Intel, AT&T, Twitter, American Airlines. There's a whole bunch of earnings coming up. I even have a chart of like almost this whole month, and we can see that AMD is coming up over the next couple of weeks. We have PayPal, Ford, Apple. Apple's coming on Tuesday next week, Visa as well. And just looking at some of these stocks, these earnings are going to affect the market pretty big. And we have some big names, like you said. AMD, one of the bigger chip makers, are going to be reporting on, let's see, July 27th, which is next week. I believe that is on Tuesday next week. So we're definitely going to be having a fun Tuesday with them and Apple going. And then like you said, Facebook, Microsoft even reporting next week also. So we're just going to have a crazy week next week. And man, all these tech stocks are just kind of lingering around their all-time highs. So is the SPY, the QQQ, and the Dow. So it just seems like that overall, there's going to probably be a bunch of movement in the overall market. And, so far this earnings season, I feel like we've seen some pretty negative stuff. Netflix ended up posting worse than expected earnings, and subscriber additions ended up falling down. And we saw some bad numbers come out with some airlines and stuff too. So overall, it just seems like that a lot of these stocks reporting are going down, and hopefully that doesn't make stocks crash down from their all-time highs.
And then let's take a look at Zoom stock, ZM. You know I'm a huge fan of this one, especially for the long term, and they're bouncing off a pretty significant support level at $350. Right at that $350 area. What do you think of this one, and what are some like levels to watch out for?
I actually really love this one on the daily. That 350 support is awesome to me. It was moving right off of some of these SMAs also, which is a great thing to see in the shorter term. And today, I really love the intraday movement out of them, how they held their ground. Definitely watch for them to break out above 362 tomorrow morning. I think that on a very a short-term intraday level, 362 is going to be a good thing to watch for tomorrow morning. If they end up breaking above that, watch for this 366 resistance. That was a pretty good resistance today. But if we end up moving up above that, we're pretty golden all the way up to around $380. You could say 375 down there at that smaller resistance level, but there's definitely a lot of upside here, I think, with Zoom. And Zoom had a great recovery over the past couple months, and then they just pulled back for a couple weeks. So I'm glad to see them starting to turn back to the upside here.
For sure, and our bot called this one out today. It called out Zoom calls around $238 each, and they ran all the way up to $322 each for around a 35% pop, which is pretty awesome to see. If you want to trade with a bot every single day, you can click the first link in the description down below. Daily swing trades, day trades, order flow bots, a ton of custom bots. Definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description down below. But let's get right into the momentum plays in the member of the day. Today's member of the day is Cyber Clays. Huge shout out, Cyber. Thanks for being a great member of the Discord. You're super active, and thanks for all your positivity. But Tom, let's get right into these momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Pfizer.
Yeah, and Pfizer's daily chart is looking really good. Go ahead and check it out. There's a pretty big resistance coming up around $42, but on an intraday level, make them break out above 41.60, and then we should see them move up to 42.
All right, with the next one, we have DraftKings.
DKNG, this stock has been on fire this week. Make them break out above that 49.50 upper resistance level. You could say 49.35, which was right around the high of today also.
All right, and with the last one, we have Zoom.
Zoom, and this one looks really good. Like we were talking about earlier, I think the first level to make it break out above is going to be 362. If it breaks out above that in pre-market, then look for 366.
Sounds good. So we are watching these three plays for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they can break above the levels Tom listed. But let's get right into the unusual options activity for tomorrow. We are looking at the Apple 150 strike calls that expire on July 30th. There was around $18.5 million put into this play, and I'm definitely going to say that the smart money is shorting these call options. A lot of tech stocks are still overbought. The market's a little bit shaky, and 150 is like $4 out of the money, plus IV is relatively high, and it expires next week. So I'm definitely going to say the short money is selling these calls. Something along the lines of like a covered call or something like that is the most likely situation in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And Apple does have momentum, which might lead a lot of people to think that they were longing these, but with it kind of expiring next week, and with there being 18 million in there, I would definitely think that they're shorting it also. And like you said, if it's covered calls, then that's just almost like a win-win situation for them. If Apple breaks out to all-time highs, well, then they get to sell their position at 150. If not, then they just collect that premium. So either way for them, it should be good.
All right, let's get right into the comments from the previous episode. With the first comment, we have Samora saying, great video as usual. Every night I'm here for this. What are your thoughts on LOW? So I think this one looks pretty good overall. It's been making higher lows. It has resistance right at 200. I'd really watch out for that level, but with the way it's trending, I think it looks pretty good overall.
Yeah, and on the daily chart, the good news is it's holding a lot of these supports, especially the one down here around 186. That's going to be, I think, the most key one over the next couple months. But I really like how it's moving off this 100 SMA as well. It's really following this purple line to the upside. And this is the second bounce off of it. And I'm really happy to see it continuing right off of this level. And I would say it's actually right at a small resistance around like 197.50. You could say like 198. So if we could break up through here and break up through $200, I think that lows might start running up, maybe back up to like 207 to 215 again.
Awesome. And then we have Jeff saying, I wonder if Hindenturd will revise their short report on DraftKings. I think that'd be a good idea if they did. DraftKings is a solid company, and it's one of my favorite stocks. And especially with the news of DraftKings, getting into the NFT business, who knows what's going to happen to it?
Man, it just seems like DraftKings just keeps doing more and more stuff just to help themselves in the long term. So, I'm with them. Hindenturd better go ahead and switch that around because that's definitely a bad report to see by them, anyways. And you could see it, like, even after they reported that, DraftKings ended up going up, and it took a couple weeks for them to kind of tank back off. And if they start to go up and break this $55 level, I mean, if Hindenburg truly is short it, then they're going to be pretty upset at that point.
All right, and then we have Vicky saying, I day traded Square today, which was one of yesterday's momentum stocks that you guys called. Made a 61% profit. Thank you so much. There we go, Vicky. Awesome job. I know you're always asking questions, which is awesome to see. Great job with that trade, and awesome job always asking questions and working hard. And thanks, as always, for all of the comments. We really appreciate it. And then we have Shim saying, hey guys, can you please cover airline stocks, LUV or DAL, and thoughts on the future with Delta variant uncertainty? Great question. So airline stocks are in an interesting position right now, and they have been selling off a lot over the past couple weeks. They had a pretty good recovery this week, though. One thing that worries me a little bit is, let's say we go to like a daily chart for like LUV and we look at like the past 2 years or so. They were actually trading higher a couple months ago than they were trading back in 2019, which is pretty crazy to think about considering, everything that happened in 2020. So that, in my opinion, they're still like pretty high. Personally, I like cruise lines better at these levels, like CCL and NCLH. They are a lot more off of their highs from 2019. They're definitely a risky play, but I just feel like, the possible returns relative to the risk is greater with cruise lines compared to airlines, and that's just my opinion. But obviously, if we have some horrible news about our states closing down and increased restrictions, that would not be good for either of these industries.
Yeah, neither one. And with the Delta variant coming out, just keep in mind that right now it's still kind of like in the beginning stages. If we start to get like a couple months down the road and we start to see, more like masks being implemented and more shutdowns like start to happen in some states, then I think that we might start to at least get like a little bit more of like an insight into what's going on. So like right now it's hard to make a clear decision because there's been a couple different variants. There's the Delta variant. There was that one UK variant that was out for a while, and I think there was even another variant. So, there's been a few of them that have been out so far, and it seems like that the Delta one though is really getting hot lately. But like I said, though, I think it will take a few weeks to kind of finally see like which direction the market's going to end up going from this variant news. But hopefully, it was just like a short term scare there.
There we go. And then we have an awesome question from Jason. He said, great video, guys. Could you please talk about dividend risks with selling covered calls and how if my shares are called away at a certain date near the ex-dividend date, I may need to pay the person the dividends? So this is a great question. It's very complex and it's hard. Like there's no like one answer that fits all scenarios. In simple terms though, and like generally speaking, if you are selling calls around a dividend date, as long as your calls are out of the money, you should be fine. Now, here's the thing. If you have a short call option and then you have the dividend coming up, there's a decent chance that the person who bought that call option from you will exercise it, and that can definitely alter your position. Now, there are so many variables for every single situation where it's like hard to give like more tips on this scenario. Every stock is completely different. So a general rule of thumb is as long as your calls are out of the money, you should be fine. Now, I hope that helps, but there's just way too many variables to give like a blanket statement for that. But Tom, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for tomorrow?
Man, we have a lot of earnings coming up, and a lot of key stocks are seeing a lot of movement lately. And one thing I'm still looking at is Intel. They've been kind of recovering up the past couple days. They have earnings coming up today, actually after close. Let's see, like if they actually reported yet. Oh wow, they had a pretty crazy after hours. So I'm definitely going to be watching for Intel tomorrow. And it looks like they shot up and then came right back down. So definitely another volatile earnings. And looks like it's going red right now, as we're seeing with a lot of these tech stocks. And I'm really going to be watching the QQQ as well, because the tech stocks are honestly nearing all-time highs again. And, if we could see a solid breakout or a solid rejection there, it'll make for a good day trade tomorrow.
Tom, I hope you saw Snapchat.
Snapchat, I did not. Let's check it out. SNAP. Wow, look at that move in after hours. That is huge, Mike, running all the way up to $72.20. And man, I saw some unusual options flow today actually come in with Snapchat on our golden sweeps. I'll actually just go to it really quick and find it. But man, that was actually pretty insane to see that snap play come in. Yeah, 1:05 p.m. we saw $1 million going to the 59.50 puts. So that's for August 20th. So that was a lot of money going into those puts. And man, hopefully they were shorting them, or else they definitely lost out here.
For sure. So it looks like they increased their, it looks like they had pretty good earnings and they issued sales guidance above estimates. So that's awesome to see. Guys, don't forget, if you want to trade with Tom and myself every day, plus get access to our daily bot swing trades, day trades, order flow. We have a ton of custom bots. Definitely check out that first link in the description down below. You can cancel at any time, and the bots have been pretty hot lately. Definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description down below. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. But other than that, thanks for watching.